Good evening. I'm Christine Johnson.
And I'm Dick Brennan in for Maurice Dubois. We are in this quiet neighborhood live in Massapequa Park that has been turned into a crime scene when police descended this morning. That's because the suspect in this case lives right on this block.
And yes, Dick, this is a huge development in the case that first started in 2007 with the first disappearance of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. And since then, police have released only the identities of 5 of at least 10 bodies that were found in Gilgo Beach.
And today has been a day of fast-moving developments, a lot unfolding in just the past 10 hours. We first brought you this breaking news in our 7 a.m. newscast streaming on CBS News New York when we reported there'd been an arrest. Since then, police named the suspect. He's Rex Heuermann. He's been arraigned on 6 counts of murder. And just an hour ago, police revealed the details of how they were able to track him down after all these years. We begin our live team coverage with CBS 2's Carolyn Gusoff, who's live in Yaphank with the latest on the investigation. Carolyn.
Dick, good evening. Many wondered if this day would ever come. Since 2010, law enforcement has been trying to solve the notorious Gilgo Beach murders. And today, a Massapequa man stood charged with 3 of them and is considered, according to officials, a prime suspect in a 4th. His name, Rex Heuermann. He is a father, he is a husband, he is an architect, and neighbors say no one suspected anything. He faced a judge. He pled not guilty. He's charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. And while the investigation into the other Gilgo Beach murders continues, officials say they felt it was urgent to get him arrested because they feared that he would hurt more.
I would first and foremost like to offer my deepest condolences to the family members. To the family members of Amber Costello, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman.
More than a decade in the making, an arrest in a serial killer case that's baffled law enforcement and the public. 59-year-old Rex Heuermann, an architect, husband, and father, a hulking man, stood silent as DA Ray Tierney detailed volumes of evidence allegedly linking him to the murders of Megan Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, Amber Costello.
These young women went missing between July of 2007 and September of 2010. They were found in December of 2010 by the Suffolk County Police Department, and then there was nothing.
The break in the case last year, a car registered to Heuermann matched one described by a witness as having picked up victim Amber Costello, a sex worker, before she disappeared. Cell phone tower pings connected him to victims, officials say, while his wife and children were out of town. His DNA allegedly matched hairs found on duct tape used to bind his victims. The final connection, pizza crust tossed into a Manhattan trash can, offered a DNA match officials say excluded more than 99% of the population.
One of the things that we did is we followed him because we wanted to get an abandonment sample of his DNA, which we were able to do.
His court-appointed attorney.
The only thing I can tell you that he did say as he was in tears was, "I didn't do this." We obviously don't have any evidence. This is the beginning of the case. Everybody is presumed innocent in our country.
Massapequa Park neighbors woke up to the unimaginable revelation. The decade-long hunt for a serial killer centered here.
It's a shocker. I mean, it's a real eye-opener.
It's crazy. It's mind-blowing. It's, quiet Massapequa Park.
We spoke frequently, every day, and his kid is a nice kid. He's a special needs kid, and the guy's been quiet, never really bothers anybody. We're kind of shocked. He grew up here with his parents and his brother.
There are 10 victims in the Gilgo Beach murders. He is now linked allegedly to 4 of them. What happens with the other 6? Investigators say that they are continuing, and the grand jury continues to hear evidence in these cases, but they felt it was urgent, they said, to, quote, bring him in because they say he allegedly continued to use burner phones, continued to use sex workers, and his internet searches were sadistic in nature. They thought it was very important that he be arrested now. Reporting live from Yaphank, Long Island, Carolyn Gusoff, CBS 2 News.
You know, Carolyn, you've been covering this case for a long time. You know, there have been a lot of theories in the case, including one that said maybe it was a law enforcement person. What are those theories looking like right now?
Dick, it was always speculated that the person who is the alleged serial killer was perhaps law enforcement because he was so good at evading capture. You know, for more than these murders began in at least 2007. So he seemed to have knowledge of law enforcement techniques. To our knowledge, Huerman does not have any law enforcement background. He's an architect, but clearly educated. And prosecutors today talked about the fact that he was really searching constantly, obsessively, they said, what they were doing, what their task force was looking into. So very tuned into law enforcement, if not a member of law enforcement himself, clearly very aware of what law enforcement tactics were, and according to prosecutors, very good at not being caught until today.
You know, staying one step ahead of the police until today. Carolyn, Gusoff, live in Yaphank. Thank you, Carolyn. We're learning more about the suspect from court documents and some online videos. CBS 2's investigative reporter Tim McNicholas is live in Midtown, where the suspect was arrested last night. Tim, what's going on there now?
Dick, police are shuffling in and out of this office building where sources say Huerman worked. This is at 36th and 5th. And now we're learning just outside this building, it was a pizza box that he tossed in this garbage can that wound up being key to the case. Huerman grew up on Long Island and attended Berner High School, but he worked in Midtown, an architect who ran a company called RH Consultants and Associates.
How you doing? Good to see you. Likewise.
A YouTuber who runs a page called Bonjour Realty interviewed Huerman about his work about a year ago.
What has this job taught you about yourself?
I think it's taught me more about how to understand people.
CBS 2 watched investigators carry at least 4 computers out of the building where Huerman worked. And court records reveal investigators found a key piece of evidence just outside Huerman's office back in January. Detectives say he threw away this pizza box. Then investigators ordered a DNA swab of the leftover crust. Police say they confirmed just this week that the DNA matched a hair found on a burlap-type material that was used to tie up one of the victims, Megan Waterman, more than 20 years ago. People who work on the other floors of this office building say they never saw Huerman, but they're stunned by today's news.
It's a little scary that he was 2 floors above me. We're right on the 9th floor, and no one had any idea, obviously. That's like really scary. And it went on for so long too, which is also horrifying.
I'm just in shock to find out he worked in my building and I could have been in the elevator with him.
Investigators say he also used burner phones to contact sex workers between 2021 and 2023. Here he is at a cell phone store in Midtown in May, where police say he added minutes to one of his burner phones. And just to tell you a bit more about this office building, it's listed on WeWork.com as a co-working office space. So those 2 people you heard from there who work in this building, they did not work for the same company as Huerman. We're working to find out more about what investigators are finding in there and what is on those computers. For now, live in Midtown, Tim McNicholas, CBS 2 News.
All right, Tim, thanks very much. We're also hearing from the families of the victims in Gilgo Beach, the real victims of this horrible crime that went on for years. CBS 2's Jennifer Bistram is live in Riverhead with more. Jennifer.
Hi, Dick. You know, we've been hearing this all day today, but this is something Long Islanders have been waiting for. This is something the victims' families have been waiting for, and finally today, some closure for them. The 3 in the case that he's been charged with is Amber Costello, Melissa Bartholomew, and Megan Waterman. There was also some other victims' families who died around that time, whose remains were found around that time. They were also here today. They were in the courtroom, and they gave emotional statements even before the arraignment began. There is an attorney who represents several of the victims' families, and he says he believes that there are more victims out there. Police will connect him to more cases here on Long Island. Take a listen.
I'm grateful for the hard work that's been done. I'm grateful that today is happening, and I'm hopeful for the future.
A great sigh of relief. Myself, after being on this case for 12 years and investigating this case relentlessly, and as well the victims' families.
And coming up at 6, you'll hear much more from victims' families. But something that we have been hearing all day long from them is closure. They finally have a piece of closure. But they say what justice looks like? Justice looks like after all the cases are closed. Again, some closure for the families here today. We are live in Riverhead. Jennifer Bisram, CBS 2 News.
Indeed, Jennifer, long overdue for these families. Governor Hochul also spoke on the arrest today. She says she hopes it brings long overdue peace.
I know there's a community out there that, as the facts unfold, will be sleeping a lot easier tonight. And a lot of families whose lives have been just turned upside down, always wondering, questioning what happened, and will the perpetrator ever be brought to justice? Hopefully, after further news is unveiled today, that the answer will be yes.
She also congratulated all law enforcement, and they certainly deserve congratulations indeed if this suspect is the person in this case. Now, I have to tell you, this neighborhood that we're in, we call it the cliche, the quiet neighborhood with tree-lined streets, beautiful houses, all going down block after block. But today, wow, what an upset to the people here. They've been packed here all day long. I got a chance to speak to them, and to say they were stunned is an understatement.
It is very crazy. All these years, all of thinking about what went on all those years ago, and of course right here in your own neighborhood, that's
frightening.
It's very frightening.
Kind of like jaw-dropping, because I was young when it first happened, and now that like I have nephews that are young, it's like, this is my town. It's crazy.
Definitely relieved, and that it's like finally being spoken about and like heard about. I think it's very like, I would say nerve-wracking.
Not good to have any, when you're close to home, these people are just walking around with you every day at the stores, shopping or down the block, but they finally got him, and it's glad they got him.
Now I can tell you, one guy spoke to me off camera. He says, I'm supposed to see this stuff on the news, not on my own block. And Christine, that really sums up the feelings of everybody who's been here all day long.
Yeah.
To you.
So many years and so much evidence that police say they have gathered in the past 16 months after identifying the suspect, Dick. It really is a monumental day in New York. Thank you for that. And our coverage of this breaking news is just getting started. Our team of reporters will continue working to bring you every detail on every angle. Right now on CBS 2 and also streaming on CBS News New York. And also, if you're interested in reading the full indictment and seeing any of the archive reports on the Gilgo Beach murders, just go to cbsnewyork.com.